Good morning and welcome to the second day of this conference, The Road to Resilience, Delivering Multifunctional Green Infrastructure Across Europe. I'm Fiona Howie and I'm the Chief Executive of the Town and Country Planning Association. Now, I'm working on the assumption that almost everyone with us this morning will have attended at least part of yesterday's sessions. But I do want to very briefly recap that this is the final conference of the Perfect Project, which is EU funded and the TCPA is the lead partner of. Now, as many of you will know, one of the key to successful European project is a fantastic acronym, which is hence the Perfect Project. But PERFECT stands for Planning for Environment and Resource Efficiency in European Cities and Towns. And this conference is a chance for the project partners to share progress they've made in changing policies and practice in their regions to deliver more high quality green infrastructure over the course of the project, which is now sort of 4 and a bit years in, and highlight the contribution that international collaboration has made to this, as well as some great case studies and good practices. Now I'm just going to try and share my screen briefly. Hopefully people can still see that and hear me. Before we do go into the parallel sessions this morning, I wanted to talk briefly about the importance of the Perfect Project for the TCPA. It very much draws on our heritage, and I think it remains as important today as it was back then. So we just wanted to speak briefly about that. The TCPA was founded back in 1899 by Ebenezer Howard, and Howard founded the organisation to help take forward his belief that there was a better way of delivering high quality and equitable environments and the homes, jobs and social connections that people needed. This vision was for a different way of living was set out in his book called Tomorrow, A Peaceful Path to Real Reform, and led to the development of Letchworth Garden City, which is pictured on the slide, and Welwyn Garden Cities. And he wrote in his book that the object of the Garden City experiment, as he called it, was to raise the standard of health and comfort for everyone in the city. And that point around everyone was really important because social justice was really a core part of that vision. While he might not have used the term green infrastructure in his book, green space was a critical part of the Garden City model. And Howard argued that as well as homes and sites for employment, there needed to be open spaces and public parks and a green belt of land to provide space for food production and recreation. The vision and ideas that underpinned the two garden cities in England remain as relevant as ever in terms of a model for sustainable placemaking, which has green infrastructure at its heart. And I know yesterday a number of speakers inevitably talked about the challenge posed across Europe and the world of coronavirus, and how green infrastructure and green space is perhaps more important to some people than it ever was because of the restrictions imposed on people during lockdown. So earlier this year, we published a new strategy for the TCPA, which is pictured on the screen. And we're very clear that our vision is about us working to secure homes and places and communities where everyone can thrive. And as you might expect for the Town and Country Planning Association, this strategy recognises that how well we plan, design and create new places and regenerate existing ones will help or hinder work to tackle health inequalities, climate change and the economic resilience of places. And of course, high quality green infrastructure remains a core part of achieving that vision and mission today. So if we recognise that green infrastructure is an important part of placemaking, of course, we would argue that you need to plan for it. On the whole, high quality green infrastructure doesn't happen accidentally. We need to think about planning for water, recreation, biodiversity, and so on. And we need to do it holistically and strategically. And it also needs to be seen as more than just an environmental concept. It has to be seen as a vital part of the infrastructure of a place. And we need to move away from just seeing infrastructure as grey, and this green and blue infrastructure really does need to be prioritised. And I think what's interesting, hopefully, about the Perfect project is that different places, really get that, and of course put different amounts of weight on it. And hopefully people have seen that through some of the case studies and presentations yesterday, and we'll hear more about it today. I think as the second bullet point highlights, if we are to secure, one of the crucial parts of the planning system is not only securing and implementing green infrastructure, but it's also that point around how we maintain it in the long term in order to maximise its benefits. And that, again, for the TCPA, drawing on our heritage is a really crucial part. So how do the stewardship of those assets that have been created in the long term, in the medium term, are so important for places to thrive. And again, one of the fantastic elements of us being able to run and lead the Perfect project and work with all these fantastic partners has been this chance to learn about actually 7 different planning systems and draw on those differences. So, for example, in Austria, the system is highly regulated. In England, we would argue that we've seen the deregulation of the planning system, and that's presented challenges over the last decade or so. So it's been a chance to learn, visit different places, see fantastic examples of what can be achieved, but also think about the similarities. And I think for us, one of the really clear similarities is a strong planning policy is essential for securing high quality infrastructure, so green infrastructure. Again, I know other speakers yesterday talked about some of the expert papers, which have been some of the outputs for the Perfect project. And hopefully they really do highlight that much can be done to improve existing and create new high quality green infrastructure through planning policy and practice. And so I just wanted to highlight a few of the expert papers. These can be found in the Expo section, which I think should be a tab on the left-hand side of your screen as you look at. So in there you can find fact sheets, expert papers, and some of the other resources that have been produced during the Perfect project. But I just wanted to highlight a few which are hopefully really relevant to this theme of today around planning for green infrastructure. So one is around the green space factor. The middle one, I would, if you're interested in green infrastructure policy, please definitely have a look at. So what does good green infrastructure policy look like? And it's about a policy assessment tool. And then some of the points I've been talking around that placemaking and drawing on the heritage of the Garden City model is covered in expert paper 4, but there are others which I would commend to you. So please do have a look in the Expo section. Before we crack on with the parallel sessions, I must also just give an overview of the rest of the day and highlight some other points as part of this welcome. So shortly at 10:15, we will go into 2 breakout sessions. As you will see, one is on planning for high quality green infrastructure, and so picks up some of the themes that we've just been touching on. If you would like to be part of that one, please stay here as it will be on the main stage. The other one, so we know again from the project, the Perfect project, that the involvement of local community is key to success, and schools and school children are the hubs of many of our communities. So combining green infrastructure improvements within and around schools is a win-win situation. And so we're delighted to have a session called Deep Dive into Schoolyards, which will also run this morning, which will share learning from Amsterdam and a pilot scheme in Cornwall. So if you would like to join that one at 10:15, you will need to leave this one and click, I think, on the sessions button, which again should be on the left-hand side of your screen. After those, there will be a short break, and then the final session of this 2-day conference will be back here on the main stage and chaired by Diane Smith. I should mention we still have a networking function, so please do consider using that during the breaks if you would like to. And I understand it will also remain live once the conference ends at 12:05. So please dip into there. You can do a sort of speed networking, or you can ask people to have one-to-one catch-ups. So please do have a think about using that if you would like to. The sessions today will also be recorded, so if you are interested in both planning for high quality green infrastructure and schoolyards, or of course you missed any of the sessions yesterday, these will be available and we will send out links to that. I should also mention that if you use social media, please do consider tweeting and use the hashtag perfect_EU. And hopefully, and we will be tweeting from the @TCPA, the TCPA handle as well. So I think I've covered everything before we go into the parallel sessions. But thank you again for joining us for the second day of the conference. I hope you find it interesting and enthusing. As we said, the Perfect project has been running for over 4 years now, and green infrastructure has always been a core part of what the TCPA does and believes in. But of course, it is more important than ever as people recognise the huge value of local green space and access to nature, as well as it being a core part of tackling the climate crisis, among other things. So on that, I will pause briefly. We will leave this screen up. We will start the parallel sessions at 10:15. So please do, oh, actually, no, I won't leave it up. I will stop screen sharing. Sorry. No. Little IT challenge there. So in a couple of minutes, we will start the parallel sessions. So please do sit tight if you're interested in learning more about planning policy and planning for high quality green infrastructure. We'll draw on examples from Austria and Italy. Or if you would like to learn more about the deep dive into schoolyards, please head over to the sessions tab when it goes live, where you'll be able to join that session. But good morning, welcome, and we'll speak soon. Thank you very much.